Chapter 62. Why is the plot development wrong? You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Xin Ya heard System Lord's words, she immediately asked in her mind, System Lord, can you detect who the System Traveler is? System, the specific person cannot be detected, but the Time Traveler is definitely near you. Nearby. Xin Ya looked around. Ning Rongrong saw her standing at the door of the hotel looking around, so she went back and asked, Xiaoya, what are you looking for? After Xin Ya looked around, she didn't see anyone in particular. At this time, she looked at the Rose Hotel next to her. Could it be that the time traveler carrying the system is in this hotel? As far as she knew, this Rose Hotel was the place where Tang San and Xiao Wu had a fight with Dai Mubai when they first came here to check in. Suddenly, Xin Ya realized that Tang San himself was a time traveler. Could it be that he is the time traveler that System Master is talking about? But as far as she knew, Tang San didn't have a system. Does he have other unknown things? In order to verify whether the systematic person was Tang San, Xin Ya turned to Ning Rongrong and said, Rongrong, let's stay in this Rose Hotel. Ning Rongrong frowned, are you sure you want to stay here? Why do I feel like this hotel is a bit unfair? Xin Ya smiled and said, get rid of the feeling, this hotel is not serious. Ning Rongrong opened her eyes wide, then you still want to live here? I have a reason, let's talk about it after we go in. Xin Ya pulled Ning Rongrong in without hesitation. Ning Rongrong shivered as she walked. She couldn't help but ask, Xiaoya, don't you have any thoughts about me? Xin Ya glanced at her speechlessly and said, don't worry, my sexual orientation is very normal. As they spoke, the two of them arrived at the front desk lobby on the first floor of the hotel. At this time, Xin Ya saw Tang San and Xiao Wu asking the waiter about accommodation at the front desk. Xin Ya asked Xiang System Lord in her mind, System Lord, can you detect the precise person who is carrying the system? System, sorry host, every system has a self-defense mechanism and cannot be probed. Xin Ya knew that in the original plot, Tang San was a time traveler, but as far as she knew, Tang San had no system. Could it be that this Tang San now was not the Tang San she knew? Is he also reborn? But according to the plot, Tang San was the final winner and even went to the God realm. There was no reason for him to be reborn. Another possibility is that the script she got is different from the original. Xin Ya is a little confused now. In order to figure this out, she didn't plan to leave for the time being, because according to the original plot development, Dai Mubai will appear later and then fight with Tang San. So she planned to find out if the time traveler carrying the system was Tang San. Xin Ya pulled Ning Rongrong to the front desk and said, we will stay in 2 rooms. At this time, the front desk clerk said in embarrassment, you two, I'm sorry, our hotel only has 1 room left. At this time, Xiao Wu on the side immediately said anxiously, 1 room must be for us. We came first, and the 2 of them came later. Ning Rongrong on the side looked at Tang San and Xiao Wu and said with a smile, it would be more suitable for us to share a room. We are both girls, so it is absolutely no problem to share a room. But you are a boy and a girl. You are so unlearned at such a young age that you sleep in the same bed. Do you have any sense of shame? What nonsense are you talking about? Xiao Wu immediately pointed angrily at Ning Rongrong and scolded, you say we are shameless. Are you a good person? You are maliciously speculating on others at such a young age. Xin Ya stood aside and said nothing. For such matters as quarrels, she felt that Miss Ning was enough, and there was no need to speak herself. I'm just reminding you, there is no malicious speculation on my part. After Ning Rongrong finished quarreling with Xiao Wu, she said directly to the front desk clerk, I will pay double the price and give us the room. When Xiao Wu heard Ning Rongrong say the double price, she immediately became even more angry. She put her hands on her waist and said, obviously we were here first, it's amazing that you have soul coins. Ning Rongrong also put her hands on her waist and said, yes, it's amazing, how about it? Suddenly, the 2 girls started arguing. Since the person quarreling with Xiao Wu was also a girl, it was difficult for Tang San to interrupt. He could only watch from the sidelines. Unless Ning Rongrong took action, he had no intention of intervening to stop it. The front desk clerk on the side was confused. She looked at the two quarreling girls, and when she was about to persuade them, a sudden voice interrupted everyone. "This room belongs to me." At this time, the 5 people at the front desk looked in the direction of the sound at the same time. They saw a man and 2 women walking in from the hotel door. The man was 1.8 meters tall, had twin eyes, and blonde hair. He looked about 15 or 16 years old, and he was holding a girl on his left and right sides. The 2 girls looked exactly the same, so they were obviously twins. Both girls looked to be about 17 or 18 years old, with slightly curly hair, tall figures, and well-dressed clothes. Xin Ya naturally recognized this person. Wasn't he Dai Mubai, the prince of the Star Luo Empire? Dai Mubai said to the front desk clerk, "You are new here, don't you know the rules here are to leave a room for me?" That the waiter was stunned for a moment, and asked tentatively, "Excuse me, are you? Call your manager out." Dai Mubai said impatiently. The waiter met Dai Mubai's gaze, and his heart sank. He hurried to the back of the front desk to call his manager. At this time, Xiaoya turned the battle to Dai Mubai again. She pointed at Dai Mubai and said, "Are you a bully? You also stipulate that a room should be reserved for you." "Why?" Ning Rongrong also said to Dai Mubai, "Even if we have to fight, it's us who will fight." "When will it be your turn?" Dai Mubai said coldly, "It's really interesting. Now anyone dares to come and shout at me. How about this? I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. I see that you all have soul power fluctuations. You should all be soul masters. Since you are soul masters, let's use the soul master solution. Just fight, whoever wins will talk. How about it?" "This method is good, I agree." Xiaoya took the lead to respond, and then she raised her eyebrows and looked at Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong immediately admitted her fear and said, I am a support spirit master, I can't fight." Xiaoya looked at Xin Ya, who was leaning against the counter behind Ning Rongrong. She raised her chin and said, "You can't fight, what about your friend? Everyone is fighting for this room, one of you two must fight." Ning Rongrong looked at Xin Ya, but Xin Ya didn't express her opinion from beginning to end, because she didn't care much about that room. She just wanted to find out whether Tang San was the one who carried the system. At this moment, Dai Mubai was stunned, because a voice appeared in his ears, and that voice said a few words to him. Then, as if instigated, Dai Mubai pointed at Xin Ya and said, "Little sister, come out as a representative and fight with me." Xin Ya narrowed her eyes slightly. Why is this plot development wrong? Shouldn't Tang San come out to fight Dai Mubai at this time? But why did he choose herself? Xin Ya looked at Tang San. Tang San's expression at this moment was very natural, and there was nothing special about it. Chapter 63. Are you afraid of fighting with me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dai Mubai invited Xin Ya to compete, but Xin Ya didn't respond. He asked again, "Little sister, how are you? Are you afraid of fighting me?" Xin Ya took a few steps forward and said, "I'm afraid it's impossible, but why should I fight you? It's just a room. There are so many hotels in Soto City, I'll just go to other hotels." After saying this, she pulled Ning Rongrong and walked straight towards the door. Dai Mubai let go of the 2 beautiful twins beside him and stood in front of Xin Ya. "Little sister, it's just a spar, it's not a life and death battle, what are you afraid of?" Xin Ya glanced at him and said, "Sorry, I'm not that belligerent. If you want to beat you, go fight those 2 over there." At this moment, the waiter at the front desk hurried over with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man obviously heard what was going on here and came over with an anxious look on his face. When the middle-aged man approached, he said, "If you two have something to say, please talk to me. Don't do anything." Dai Mubai cast a sidelong glance at the middle-aged man and said, "Manager Wang, you are really getting better and better at doing business now. You even dare to give the room I stipulated to others. Manager Wang wiped the sweat dripping from his forehead and said with a smile, "Young Master Dai, it's all my fault that I didn't teach the newbie well." As he said that, he glanced at the front desk clerk beside him and said, "This guy just came here yesterday and doesn't understand the rules. I apologize to you on his behalf and will arrange a room for you immediately, okay?" "No need." Dai Mubai smiled evilly and said, "Now I want to use my own method to solve it." At this time, Xin Ya ignored them and pulled Ning Rongrong forward. Dai Mubai didn't know what was wrong with him, he just wanted to compete with that little girl. Without saying a word, he grabbed Xin Ya's arm. Let go. Xin Ya glared at Dai Mubai with displeasure. Dai Mubai said, little sister, if you beat me, I will let you go. At this time, Xin Ya was completely angry, because she hates people who pester like this the most, and it's just for fighting. Xin Ya gently pushed Ning Rongrong away, and then directly released the killing god domain. At this time, everyone else around the two people ran away, including manager Wang and the twins. At this time, Dai Mubai was keenly aware of the strong murderous intent. With a flash of evil light, he quickly called out his martial soul, and 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, rose from under his feet. White Tiger, possessed. In an instant, a layer of intense pale light suddenly burst out from Dai Mubai's body. Dai Mubai didn't know about the killing god realm, but now, even though he has the blessing of being possessed by a martial spirit, he can't do anything else for the time being except resisting the murderous intent. Dai Mubai didn't expect that this little girl hadn't even activated her martial spirit yet, but just a murderous aura made him take several steps back. Xiaoya said in a calm tone, do you want to fight again? Dai Mubai smiled evilly. The little girl's strong murderous intent not only did not make him flinch, but made him full of fighting spirit. Of course, I won't give up easily. The first soul skill, White Tiger Protective Shield. The third soul skill, White Tiger Vajra Transformation. Dai Mubai used 2 soul skills at the same time. With the boost of 2 soul skills, he really allowed him to temporarily block the cold murderous aura. The second soul skill, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. A huge white light condensed instantly, and with Dai Mubai's tiger roar, a ball of milky white light spat out from his mouth and struck towards Xin Ya. Only then did Xiaoya call out her martial spirit, holding the divine sword in her hand, and her black hair instantly turned into silver white. At this time, the third soul ring lights up. Xiaoya did not let the divine sword transform into a huge sword shadow, but directly held the divine sword and charged forward fiercely with its sharp sword intent. The appearance of the black 10,000-year spirit ring surprised everyone present, including Tang San, who had been watching by the front desk. He couldn't help but feel surprised. Dai Mubai was also stunned. At this moment, the light ball he sprayed was completely blocked by the sharp sword shadow. Xin Ya used the instantaneous shuttle ability of her third soul skill to quickly press a sharp but ordinary sword blade against Dai Mubai's neck. The little girl asked calmly again, do you still want to fight? At this time, Dai Mubai stared blankly at the little girl who was a head shorter than him, and he thought to himself, how can this little girl be so powerful? Not only did he have a 10,000-year soul ring, but he was also able to subdue him with one move. Dai Mubai never expected that. He shook his head blankly. You win, the room is yours. Xin Ya put away the martial soul and said, no need, I have enough soul coins, as much as this 1 or 2 rooms. Rongrong, let's go. After saying this, she turned around and walked towards the hotel door, and Ning Rongrong followed her immediately. Tang San, who was standing next to the front desk, came to his senses and looked at Xiaoya who was leaving with inquiring eyes. Xiaoya said with lingering fear, that girl looks about the same age as us, but she actually has a 10,000-year soul ring. What is her soul power level? As she said that, she looked at Tang San beside her. Xiao San, luckily we didn't fight that girl just now, otherwise we would definitely lose. Tang San said expressionlessly, not necessarily. At this time, Dai Mubai looked at Tang San and Xiao Wu and said, I just said that the little sister fought with me on your behalf. Now that she won the room but doesn't want it, then it belongs to you too. After saying this, he turned around and left the hotel, and the 2 twin beauties immediately chased him out. Xiao Wu said happily, that's great. Since they don't want it, Xiao San, let's do it. Tang San said indifferently, it's all up to you. The 2 immediately called the waiter who was hiding at the front desk, paid and checked in. Other side, after Dai Mubai walked out of the hotel, he saw Xiaoya and Ning Rongrong walking not far ahead. He immediately chased after her and stopped in front of Xin Ya. Ning Rongrong asked, do you still want to fight? Dai Mubai waved his hand and said, no, I have already admitted defeat, and I am convinced that I lost. Xiaoya raised her eyebrows. Then why are you chasing after me? Dai Mubai said with a smile, I came after you to introduce myself. My name is Dai Mubai, and I am now a student of Shrek Academy. Tomorrow is our Shrek Academy's admissions. Are you interested in signing up and enrolling in Shrek? Xin Ya came here just to accompany Ning Rongrong to Shrek and check in at tourist attractions. She had no intention of enrolling in school. Originally, the little girl thought that if she knew the plot development here, she would be sure to win and become a salty fish in Douluo Continent, but in the situation just now, there were obviously uncontrollable factors, and she was still not sure whether the time traveler carrying the same system as herself was Tang San. Xin Ya knew that Tang San and Xiao Wu would definitely enroll in Shrek, in order to find out what is going on and what script I got. The best way is to enroll in Shrek and find out about Tang San. After deciding, Xin Ya looked at Dai Mubai and said, Okay, my friends, and I will go there tomorrow. See you tomorrow then. After saying this, Dai Mubai turned around and left with a smile. Chapter 64 What on earth does that little thing want to do by coming to this kind of hotel? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside Soto City, Guangling traveled for a day and a half and finally arrived in Soto City in the afternoon. At this time, he was walking on the streets of the city with his horse. He wanted to ask people where the best hotel in Soto City was, because he wanted to find out the whereabouts of the little thing. As he walked, Guangling passed by the door of a hotel and accidentally heard a conversation between two people standing at the door. Manager Wang, alas, I'm so unlucky. I have to spend 5 gold soul coins to repair the wall for no reason. Waiter, manager, can't we let that Dai Xiao compensate us for the damage caused by the repair? Manager Wang angrily knocked on the waiter's head and scolded, how dare you say that? I told you a long time ago to remember to leave a room for Dai Xiao, but you didn't remember it. If you remembered, you would have told those 4 people that there was no room in the morning, and nothing would have happened. It wouldn't have caused Dai Xiao to fight with that little girl and damage the wall of our hall. If it happens again, you will get out of here. Do you hear me clearly? The waiter said fearfully, I heard it clearly. I heard it clearly. After scolding the waiter, Manager Wang couldn't help but sigh, but that little girl in the morning was really amazing. She looked only 12 years old, but she already had a 10,000-year soul ring. Although Manager Wang and the waiter were ordinary people without soul power, they still knew a little about the levels of Soul Master soul rings. At this time, Guangling, who had passed the entrance of the hotel, suddenly reacted when he heard the words the little girl is only 12 years old, but she already has a 10,000-year soul ring, and immediately turned back. Guangling hurriedly walked to the Manager Wang and the waiter. Manager Wang saw a man with extraordinary temperament coming, and he looked like a rich man. He immediately greeted him with a smile, Dear guest, do you want to stay? Guangling took out a portrait from the storage soul guide and asked, Is the little girl with a 10,000-year soul ring you just mentioned her? Manager Wang and the waiter opened their eyes and looked at the portrait carefully, and soon said, Yes, it's this little girl. Guangling's mouth curled up slightly. Manager Wang asked carefully, Dear guest, are you related to that little girl? Guangling said, I am her brother. You just said that she had a fight with others. What happened? The waiter roughly recounted what happened in the morning. After listening, Guangling took out 2 gold soul coins from his arms and threw them to Manager Wang. This is compensation for the damage caused by my little thing in your lobby. As for the remaining compensation, you can ask that guy named Dai Xiao for it yourself. After all, he is also responsible. Yes, thank you. Manager Wang was instantly happy to get half of the compensation. Guangling continued to ask, Where did the little girl go after the fight? Manager Wang put away the 2 gold soul coins and shook his head, We don't know about this. After thinking for a while, Guangling asked again, That Dai Xiao, you said he is a frequent visitor to your hotel, so he should live near here. Do you know where he lives specifically? Manager Wang said, I only know that he is from Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy? Guangling frowned, Where is that academy? Manager Wang said, In a village in the south of our city. I heard that the academy will have enrollment registration tomorrow. Guangling thought, Could it be that the little thing came to Soto City just to register for admission to Shrek Academy? He would not let go of any possibility of finding Xin Ya, so Guangling decided to go to Shrek Academy tomorrow to have a look. At this time, Manager Wang looked at the rich young master who looked like a young master in front of him, and he came from another place, so he should need accommodation. He immediately seized the opportunity and asked, "This guest, you just came from another place, you should also need accommodation. Do you want to stay in our hotel?" Hearing what Manager Wang said, Guangling came back to his senses, thinking that it doesn't matter where you live, and the decoration here is also okay. He nodded and said, "Then live here, give me the best luxury suite in your hotel." Manager Wang's eyes lit up instantly, and he said flatteringly, "Okay, VIP, please follow me, I will check you in immediately." Manager Wang asked the waiter to watch the decorators repair the wall, and he personally led Guangling to the front desk. After completing the check-in procedures, Manager Wang personally led Guangling to the best luxury suite on the top floor. After entering the luxury suite, Guangling took a look at the ambiguous atmosphere in the room and instantly felt that something was wrong with this place. Just when he was confused, he heard Manager Wang behind him whisper, "VIP, we have some special services here. If you are interested, I can arrange it for you right away." Guangling stared at Manager Wang with extremely unhappy eyes. A trace of soul power burst out, and roared, "Get out! What a terrible man!" Manager Wang was so scared that he fell to the ground and immediately fled the room like a dog. Guangling slammed the door of the room angrily. He took another look at the room's bright and colorful decoration, and his eyes narrowed dangerously. Didn't that little thing come with Ning Fengji's daughter? How could two girls choose to stay in such a hotel? When he thought of this, Guangling's face suddenly turned black. What on earth does that little thing want to do in such a hotel? On the other side, just 2 streets away from the Rose Hotel where Guangling lived, Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong checked into another hotel. At this time, it was lunch time, and the two planned to go out for a meal and then walk around Soto City. As usual, the two girls went to the best local restaurant. After lunch, they wandered around the city. Suddenly, Xin Ya remembered a place and a thing. "Rongrong, I'll take you to a place, let's go." After saying that, she pulled Ning Rongrong forward. Miss Ning felt strange. Xiaoya was also in Soto City for the first time. What place could she know? Although confused, Ning Rongrong still followed Xin Ya. After walking a few streets, the two came to the door of a small store with a unique sign. There were 3 special symbols engraved on the sign, namely, a sword, a hammer, and a dragon. These 3 symbols are exactly the same as the pattern on the Spirit Hall token. The sword represents Sword Douluo Continent, the hammer represents the Clear Sky Hammer of the Clear Sky sect, and the dragon represents the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family. At this time, Ning Rongrong stood at the door of the store and asked in confusion, "How come these 3 symbols appear on the sign of this store?" Miss Ning looked at Xin Ya beside her. Xin Ya spread her hands and said, "I am a hen." The little girl smiled and opened the door of the store and walked straight in, with Ning Rongrong following behind her. Inside the store, Tang San and Xiao Wu were talking to a middle-aged man in his 50s. Xin Ya naturally recognized the middle-aged man. He was the dean of Shrek Academy and one of the Golden Iron Triangles, Flanders of the Flying Horn. Ning Rongrong looked at Tang San and Xiao Wu and frowned. Why are these 2 people again? At this time, Xin Ya stepped forward and took out 1,000 gold soul coins directly. She pointed at the crystal that Tang San had taken a fancy to and said to Flanders, "Boss, I want this crystal." Chapter 65 Becoming Tang San's creditor doesn't seem so bad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xin Ya's words made Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Flanders look at her at the same time. Xiao Wu saw that it was the 2 girls who had snatched a room from them in the Rose Hotel in the morning. She said angrily, "Why are you 2 here again? You snatched our room in the morning and came to snatch our crystal in the afternoon. Do you like to snatch other people's things?" Before Xin Ya could speak, Miss Ning's mouth was online again. "What do you mean by snatch? Are your names engraved on the crystal? Everyone competes fairly, and the one with the highest bid wins." As she said that, Ning Rongrong looked at the boss Flanders. "Boss, this is reasonable, right?" Flanders' eyes were straight when he saw the 1,000 gold soul coins in Xin Ya's hand. The Shrek Academy he founded was located in a remote area and was not valued by the Barak Kingdom. It not only lacked funds, but also hardware conditions, and often had more expenses than income. Therefore, as the dean, Flanders saw the 1,000 gold soul coins in Xianya's hand, and his greedy eyes lit up instantly, but at the same time, he also had difficulties. He just saw the storage soul guide 24 bridges bright moon night on Tang San's waist, which was his good brother's thing. And the boy with the 24 bridges bright moon night was also his good brother's apprentice, good brother, and 1,000 gold soul coins. It was difficult for Flanders to choose. But in Xianya's view, Yishao Jiang, the useless master, was not worth 1,000 gold soul coins at all, so what was there to choose? Ning Rongrong saw that Flanders had not responded to her for a long time. She asked again, "Boss, are you going to sell that crystal?" Xiao Wu saw that Tang San wanted that crystal very much, although she couldn't see what was special about it. But since her brother wanted it, she had to help him get it anyway. The little rabbit immediately said to Flanders anxiously, "Boss, we came here first, and didn't you just say that Xiao San is the apprentice of your good friend, so you should sell it to us?" This. Flanders thought, if the little girl didn't offer such a high price of 1,000 gold soul coins, he would sell the crystal to the boy without hesitation, but 1,000 gold soul coins. He looked at Xianya silently. What is the origin of this little girl? She could take out 1,000 gold soul coins casually. Xiao Wu looked at Tang San anxiously, hoping that he would say a few words. Tang San shook his head helplessly, because he could see that Xianya was rich, and they would definitely lose if they bid against the rich. And he thought that he and Xiao Wu would go to Shrek Academy to register tomorrow, and they would also need money at that time, unless the boss was willing to sell the crystal directly to him. If two people were to bid, then he had to give up. Ning Rongrong saw that Flanders was still hesitating, so she urged him, "Boss, 1,000 gold soul coins, I don't understand why you are hesitating." At this time, Xianya, who had been silent, slowly said, "Boss, I know what you are hesitating about. Since you are hesitating because he is the apprentice of your good brother, then I will tell you someone, and you will no longer hesitate." Flanders was puzzled. "Who?" Xianya smiled faintly and said, "Lu Erlong." Flanders' eagle eyes suddenly brightened, and he said excitedly, Do you know Erlong Mai? I'm her friend." Xianya added, "So I also know who you are." Flanders was instantly happy, and at the same time he said without hesitation, "In this case, if everyone is an acquaintance, then I will definitely stand on the side that pays more." As he said, he immediately took the crystal and handed it to Xianya. "Little girl, this crystal is yours." Xianya smiled in her heart. This Flanders is really a greedy and stingy man. She took the crystal and put it in her system space. Tang San watched from the side, thinking. Flanders asked, "Is Erlong Mai doing well now?" Xianya nodded. "She's doing well. She also opened an academy in Tiando City." "Really, that's great." Flanders said. Xianya smiled and said, "See you tomorrow." Before leaving, the little girl turned and left the store. Ning Rongrong followed her and asked, "Do you know that boss?" Xianya nodded. "He's the dean of Shrek Academy." Ning Rongrong said, "Ah." Flanders waved and lay back on his armchair to continue sleeping with his eyes closed. Tang San also left the store quickly and chased after him. Xiao Wu frowned and said, "Xiao San, wait for me." Tang San shouted to the two girls in front, "Please wait a moment." Xianya and Ning Rongrong stopped and turned around at the same time. Tang San walked quickly to Xianya and asked, "Can you sell me that crystal?" Xianya frowned. "Since you want it too, why didn't you say anything just now?" Tang San said, "I said it just now to compete with you. I don't have that many soul coins, and I can't afford the price." Xianya thought, this Tang San is quite smart. "But I'm not stupid either, Tang San, you don't want to compete, but it doesn't mean I can't increase the price." Xianya said, "It's not impossible to sell it to you, but I bought it with 1,000 gold soul coins, and it will cost at least 2,000 to sell it. Can you give me 2,000? Tang San thought for a while and said, "Okay, but it's next month, I can write you an IOU first." "Next month?" Xianya said in confusion. "You don't have 2,000 this month, will you have it next month? Are you planning to rob a stored value bank?" Tang San said calmly, I have my own way. Xin Ya thought for a while. Originally, she planned to take the crystal to Gingxin City and sell it to the Blacksmith Association or auction it. But now I feel that becoming Tang San's creditor is not bad at all. However, the little girl felt that selling it to Tang San for 2,000 was still a bit of a loss. If she sold it to the Blacksmith Association or auctioned it, she should be able to get more. Xin Ya smiled slyly and said to Tang San, I feel like I'm a bit of a loser by selling you 2,000 gold soul coins. Xiao Wu immediately said dissatisfied, what do you mean? You want to raise the price on the ground. Ning Rongrong said, this crystal now belongs to us, Xiaoya. It doesn't matter if we want to raise the price. Xin Ya waved her hand and said, I'm not raising the price, but this crystal is golden plate crystal. It is the raw material for making dragon beard needles. It is not an ordinary crystal. Since I know it is a rare thing, I will put it at the auction house and it should be able to sell for 5,000 or even 10,000 gold soul coins. So I think I lost money by selling you 2,000 gold soul coins. That when Tang San heard Xin Ya say Ban Jing was blonde, he was slightly surprised. Because he didn't expect that this little girl also knew that Ban Jing had blonde hair, but now that he knew it, Tang San couldn't understand why she still sold it. Why don't you keep such a good concealed weapon for yourself? Tang San thought so, but in Xin Ya's eyes, her Heaven-defying Comprehension System and Shura Divine Sword were enough to make her powerful. There is also the 100,000-year-old soul bone awarded by the Shura God test. As for hidden weapons, Xin Ya looked down upon them at all. Therefore, it is more important to sell the crystals and make money as salted fish. Chapter 66 Tang San's IOU. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xin Ya's words made Xiao Wu, who was standing next to Tang San, widen her eyes instantly. 5 to 10,000 gold soul coins, that she pointed at Xin Ya and cursed, why don't you go and grab it? You are more evil than the owner of the store just now. Xin Ya spread her hands and said nonchalantly, whatever you say, if you don't want it because it's too expensive, there will be people rushing to get it. There are a lot of rich people in the auction house. After finishing her words, she turned around and was about to leave. Tang San immediately said, okay, 10,000 gold soul coins, but I can't give it to you until 3 months later. I'll write you an IOU for 3 months first. Xiao Wu pulled his arm anxiously and whispered, brother, you are crazy, 10,000 gold soul coins, let alone 3 months, you will not get 10,000 gold soul coins in a year. Even if there is that piece of crap crystal worth the price? Tang San looked at Xiao Wu, touched the back of her hand, and said firmly, Xiao Wu, believe me, this crystal is definitely worth the price. At this time, Xin Ya looked at Tang San in front of her with inquiring eyes. Tang San's behavior made her a little confused. And when he said 2,000 just now, he said he could give it next month. Now he said 10,000, and he said he could give it 3 months later. However, as far as Xin Ya knew, Tang San was not a rich man at this stage. Even the little rabbit said just now that he might not have 10,000 gold soul coins in a year, which further confirmed the facts that Xin Ya knew. But Tang San himself said yes. Could he really save 10,000 gold soul coins in 3 months? This aroused Xin Ya's curiosity. The little girl thought, anyway, she would go to Shrek Academy tomorrow, and then Tang Santian would be under her nose every day, so she wouldn't be afraid that he wouldn't admit it. And she felt that if Tang San was really the other time traveler carrying the system, the reason why he agreed so readily might have something to do with his system. Xin Ya rolled her eyes and said, okay, I'll sell it to you. You can write the IOU now. After saying this, she looked around. She saw a coffee shop not far away, so she walked over and sat down. Tang San, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong also walked over. The waiter in the coffee shop immediately came out and said, what would you like to drink? She handed over the menu. Xin Ya didn't bother to look and said directly, let's have a cup of the most expensive coffee in your store, and bring a piece of paper and pen along the way. The waiter immediately said enthusiastically, okay. Ning Rongrong also echoed, I also want a cup of the most expensive coffee. After saying this, she looked at Tang San and Xiao Wu, if you two want a drink, you have to pay for it yourself, we won't treat you. Xiao Wu angrily snorted, we don't want to drink that stuff, it's so painful, that when the waiter heard Xiao Wu's words, he looked at her a little displeased, and then left without even asking what she and the other boy wanted to drink. After a while, the waiter brought 2 cups of coffee, paper and pen, and she enthusiastically placed the things in front of Xin Ya. Xin Ya pushed the pen and paper in front of Tang San, write an IOU. Tang San took the paper and pen, and when he was about to write, Xiao Wu grabbed his arm and said, brother, think about it clearly. Once you write this IOU, you will be saddled with a debt of 10,000 gold soul coins. Tang San smiled and patted the back of her hand, and said comfortingly, don't worry, Xiao Wu. Since I am willing to write this IOU, I am sure that I will be able to pay you back. Xin Ya glanced at Tang San, then silently picked up the coffee and took a sip. After a while, Tang San had written the IOU and signed it. He handed the IOU to Xin Ya. Xin Ya took the IOU and glanced at it. She raised the corners of her mouth slightly and put the IOU away. Then with a wave of her hand, the crystal appeared on the table. Xiao Wu immediately took the crystal into her arms and held it because she was afraid that the girl would change her mind again and even raise the price again. Tang San looked at Xin Ya, stood up, picked up Xiao Wu, and quickly left the coffee shop. Ning Rongrong looked at the two of them leaving and asked Xin Ya, Xiaoya, although I have written an IOU, there is a huge crowd. If that guy doesn't take the initiative to pay back the money in 3 months, where will we find him? Don't worry, they can't run away, we will see you tomorrow. Xin Ya drank coffee leisurely and enjoyed afternoon tea leisurely. The little girl remembered that when she was on Aquamarine Star in her last life, she was either working overtime or on the way to work overtime. How could she have time to enjoy such a pleasant afternoon tea? Now she has money and doesn't have to worry about cultivation. This is the salty life she longs for. Ning Rongrong looked at Xin Ya, and she suddenly felt that Xiaoya was more like an eldest lady, and she would enjoy it better than she, the eldest lady of the Qibao glazed sect, and she felt that Xin Ya didn't even need to practice, and her soul power level was much higher than that of her peers. Miss Ning couldn't understand how Xin Ya managed to improve her soul power without putting in much effort. The two sat in the coffee shop until the salted egg yolk on the horizon fell from the west, then they paid and left to have dinner at a restaurant. After dinner, they returned to the hotel and went to their rooms to rest. The next day, Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong got up early in the morning. After checking out, he got on his horse and left Soto City from the South City Gate, heading towards Shrek Academy. After leaving the city, the two rode horses on the village road. At this time, Xin Ya always felt strange. She kept looking behind her from time to time, but could not see anything. Ning Rongrong saw her abnormality and looked back along her line of sight, but saw nothing. She asked curiously, Xiaoya, why do you keep looking behind you? Xin Ya bit her lip and said, I always feel something strange behind me, as if, there seems to be a gaze that has been watching me. Watching you? Ning Rongrong shuddered and said fearfully, oh my god, we must have been targeted by a spirit beast or some bad guy. Xin Ya said angrily, this is not a forest, how can there be soul beasts? As for the bad guys, there's no need to be afraid, I'll just beat them away. After hearing her words, Ning Rongrong immediately whipped his riding whip and said, we'd better run away quickly. If we encounter someone powerful and you can't beat him, we'll be in trouble. Xin Ya looked behind her again. Although she felt strange, she didn't notice any danger. However, since Miss Ning wants to go faster, then let's go. After the two little girls sped up, Guangling, who had been following in the dark not far behind them, also sped up. Guangling also checked out of the room early this morning and headed to Shrek, wanting to see if he could see that little thing. Unexpectedly, when he was about to leave the south gate of Soto City, he saw the beautiful figure that he had been pursuing for a long time, but since Xin Ya was riding a horse, he didn't dare to catch up. He was afraid that the little thing would run away again later, so he could only follow her not far behind and watch silently. Chapter 67 I don't want to be so high profile, okay? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After riding for a while, Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong saw a small village 1 mile ahead. There were about 100 households in the village, and a wooden fence surrounded the village, which seemed to be used to prevent wild animals. the two saw that many people gathered at the entrance of the village, and they were queuing up to register. Most of those people were boys and girls of the same age as them, and they were basically accompanied by their parents. At this time, Ning Rongrong saw Tang San and Xiao Wu in the queue. Ning Rongrong said to Xianya, "It turns out that these two people also came here to register. No wonder you said they can't run away." Xianya smiled. When the two approached, they saw a table at the entrance of the village, and an old man in his 60s sat behind the table. Next to the old man was an arch made of wood. Above the arch hung a slightly tattered plaque with 5 words engraved on it: Shrek Academy. Ning Rongrong looked at the facade of Shrek and couldn't help complaining, "No way, this Shrek Academy is so bad. I wouldn't have come if I had known it was so bad." She looked at Xianya and said, "Yesterday you said that the owner of that shop is the dean of this academy. Such a bad academy, no wonder the dean's eyes lit up when he saw your 1,000 gold soul coins. I guess he has never seen so much money." Xianya laughed, "You are exaggerating, the dean is at least in his 50s, it's not that he has never seen 1,000 gold soul coins, his eyes lit up just because he is greedy. But I don't think there's anything wrong with greed, after all, who doesn't like money? Anyway, I like it." For the little girl, it's not difficult to practice and improve soul power, but it's more difficult to be a salted fish without money. Her consciousness asked the system in her mind, "System, can you become a rich system?" System. The system ignored her whimsical idea and drove her consciousness out of her mind directly. After hearing her greedy remarks, Ning Rongrong glanced at her and said, "You not only like money, you simply love it. You would rather sell your soul bones for gold soul coins." Xianya thought, what's the point of soul bones? As long as she completes the Shura God test, she can easily get a soul bone of 100,000 years, and it's a fine product. She looked at Miss Ning and smiled slyly. "Yes, soul bones are nothing to me, so if I have no money one day, I might sell you too." The eldest lady of the 7 treasures glazed tile sect should be worth some money. Hearing Xianya's words, Miss Ning opened her eyes wide and said tremblingly, "If you sell me, my father, Grandpa Jian, and Grandpa Gu will not let you go." Xianya said with a smile, "Your father thinks you're noisy at home, and your Grandpa Jian wants to take me as his apprentice. Maybe if you sell you, I can inherit your family business." After speaking, she smiled and got off the horse, and waved her hand to take the mare Ada back to her system space. Miss Ning was so confused by what Xianya said just now. She was still sitting on the horse. Woohoo, what a mean person. Xianya looked up and saw Ning Rongrong was fooled by her, and suddenly felt that what she said just now was so similar to Guangling. The little girl sighed in her heart. She had been with that arrogant guy for a while before, and even learned the habit of liking to make fun of others from him. It's true that those who are close to ink will be red, and those who are close to vermilion will be black. Xianya pulled Ning Rongrong off the horse, tied the horse rope, and walked towards the team in front who were queuing to sign up. The two walked to the end of the team. Ning Rongrong looked around, and suddenly she saw a girl with a very hot body in front of her. She couldn't help but pull Xianya and whispered, "Xiaoya, look at the girl in front of us. She's the same age as us, but her figure is so good, curvy, tut. I'm jealous." Xianya looked in the direction of Miss Ning and saw someone she knew. The girl with a hot body was Zhu Zhuqing, the spirit of the nether spirit cat. Seeing her in person at such a close distance, she really has a good figure, and she is wearing a black shirt, black pants and black shoes, which makes her look cooler. Xianya nodded in approval and said, "Yeah, she has a good figure." Ning Rongrong looked at her sideways. "Don't be envious, you are not bad either, it's just that the girl is aloof and you are cute. Alas, I'm smaller. I feel that the scorpion yesterday was a little bigger than me." Xianya couldn't help laughing. "It turns out that Miss Ning also has troubles." Ning Rongrong said, "I definitely have, after all, I'm also a girl, how can I not worry about this?" Xianya laughed again. Suddenly she looked around, because she noticed the gaze on her again. The little girl wondered, who was this gaze? It had been following them since they left the south gate. They thought it would stop here, but they didn't expect that gaze to follow them again. Just then, the two heard a quarrel in front of them, which seemed to be about the registration fee. At this time, a person jumped down from the wooden arch. This person was Dai Mubai, who said in a cold tone, "If you want to return the registration fee, it's fine. If you can beat me, I will return it in full." After he finished speaking, he urged his soul power and released his 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. The surging soul power generated invisible pressure and attacked the people who asked for a refund of the registration fee. Suddenly, the faces of the people who asked for a refund of the registration fee changed drastically. They said it was bad luck for us and left immediately. Ning Rongrong saw Dai Mubai and said, "It seems like you are very powerful. Didn't you lose to our Xiaoya yesterday?" Xin Ya smiled and said nothing. After the small episode just now, the number of people waiting in line immediately decreased by 1/3, because the registration fee cannot be refunded. No one is willing to spend such money. Besides, the Shrek Academy is really in disgrace. After people who don't want to waste their money leave, the registration continues. However, a quarrel broke out after a while, and the old man in charge of admissions shook his head and said, "If you are not qualified, you can leave." "Why?" that the mother of the child asked in confusion. "My son is a top student in the junior college. Didn't you see that his soul ring is 100 years old? There are not many soul masters with 100-year soul ring." The old man said calmly, "Of course it is good that the first soul ring is 100 years old, but he is just an ordinary person." The child's father frowned and said, "I don't understand what you mean." The old man recruiting students stood up and walked around the table and said, "You should understand the rules before you come to our Shrek Academy to register. If you register without knowing it, you will only waste the registration fee. Shrek only accepts monsters, not ordinary people. So if you are over 13 years old or your soul power has not reached level 21 or above, there is no need to waste your time here." That at this time, some people in the team began to question. How is this possible? I don't believe that someone who is no more than 13 years old has level 21 or above. Others shouted in agreement. Amid the questioning, Dai Mubai saw Xin Ya and Ning Rongrong waiting in the queue. He walked quickly towards the two of them. "You came just in time." Before Xin Ya could react, Dai Mubai pulled her out of the team. He said to those who questioned, "You don't believe it, do you? Come, let me see what a monster is." After finishing speaking, he said to Xin Ya, "Little sister, release your martial spirit." This, Xin Ya roared in her heart, "I'm going to fuck you, Grandma Dai Mubai. I don't want to be so high profile, okay?" Chapter 68, Going to that kind of hotel with women on both sides, what else could he be but a scumba? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dai Mubai saw that Xin Ya didn't respond, so he whispered, "Release your spirit." Xin Ya glanced at him, "Why should I listen to you?" "No, I." Dai Mubai was about to say something when the old man in charge of admissions came over and interrupted him. "Mubai, what did you do to that girl again?" Dai Mubai immediately explained, "No, Teacher Li, this girl is the one I told you about, the one who beat me yesterday." "Oh." Teacher Li's eyes lit up slightly. "Is it the girl with a 10,000-year spirit ring?" Dai Mubai nodded immediately. 10,000-year spirit ring. At this time, the people queuing around to register heard the words 10,000-year spirit ring and started talking. "That girl is about the same age as us." "Yeah, so how could she have a 10,000-year spirit ring?" "I don't believe it. Didn't the guy say he had a fight with her?" "He must know after a fight, how could he be wrong?" At this time, Teacher Li looked at Xin Ya and introduced himself politely. "Little girl, my name is Li Yusong, my martial soul is a dragon pattern stick, I am a level 63 strong attack system battle soul emperor, and I am the interviewer who is responsible for the first stage of enrollment at Shrek Academy." After saying that, Li Yusong called out his martial soul, and a long stick with countless fine patterns appeared in his right hand. At the same time, 6 spirit rings, 1 white, 1 yellow, 3 purple and 1 black, rose from under his feet. A level 60 soul emperor is rare in the Barak kingdom. Xin Ya saw Li Yusong introducing herself so politely, and out of upbringing, she should also reciprocate. She also introduced herself. "Hello, Teacher Li, my name is Xin Ya, my martial soul is Qingming sword, and I am a level 42 strong attack weapon soul sect." "What? Level 42? Everyone present was shocked, including Dai Mubai. Tang San and Xiao Wu, because when they were in the hotel yesterday, the three of them only saw Xin Ya's 10,000-year soul ring, but they didn't know that she was actually level 42. Dai Mubai thought that Xin Ya's soul power level was about the same as his, but because she had a 10,000-year soul ring, she could beat him, but now, he is not feeling well. Li Yusong also looked incredible. He stepped forward and grabbed Xin Ya's palm to feel her bone age. After touching it, he murmured, "It is indeed 12 years old." Then, he asked excitedly, "Xin girl, you are here to register for admission to our college, right?" Xin Ya nodded, Li Yusong said, "In addition to checking whether the bone age is in line with the first interview, we also need to look at the martial soul. Can you release the martial soul for me to see?" Xin Ya nodded again. Dai Mubai, who was standing aside, muttered in dissatisfaction, "I asked you to release your martial soul just now, why didn't you agree so readily?" Xin Ya directly said, "Why should I listen to your commanding words?" Dai Mubai choked. He now knew that this little girl was a soft-hearted person. Dai Mubai said, "Well, it was my fault just now." Xin Ya ignored Dai Mubai again. She urged her soul power and released her martial soul sword. An extremely ordinary long sword appeared in front of her. When the people present saw the long sword of her martial soul, they all thought that the sword was too ordinary. The stick of Teacher Li just now had some beautiful patterns, but her long sword had nothing. How could such an ordinary long sword martial soul have a 10,000-year soul ring? Everyone thought it must be a lie. And at this moment, when 3 black 10,000-year soul rings rose from the feet of the little girl, the dazzling black light shocked everyone present. Just now when they heard the little girl say that her soul power level was 42nd level, they were still discussing it, but now everyone was silent, so quiet that even a mosquito flying by could be heard. Except for Ning Rongrong, Dai Mubai, Tang San, Xiao Wu and Li Yusong all looked at Xin Ya with dilated pupils. Ning Rongrong looked at the reactions of the people around her, and she whispered to Xin Ya, "Are they stupid?" Xin Ya silently retracted her martial spirit and said to Li Yusong, "Teacher Li, I haven't obtained a 4th soul ring yet. If you don't believe that I'm level 42, you can use a test crystal ball below level 50 to test it." Li Yusong reacted, waved his hand, and said with a brilliant smile, "No need, 3 10,000-year soul rings must be above level 40. After saying that, he patted Dai Mubai beside him. "This classmate Xin Ya, you can take her directly to Teacher Zhao later, and those tests in the middle can be waived." Dai Mubai finally came back to his senses. "Yes, yes." At this time, Tang San looked at Xin Ya, his eyes dim and unclear, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Li Yusong turned back to the table and said to the people in line to register, "Do you still want to register? If you want, continue, and if you don't want to register, please go back." At this time, the long queue of people waiting to register was reduced by 1/3. The 1/3 who left felt that they were nothing compared to the little girl with 3 10,000-year spirit rings, so they should leave quickly and not embarrass themselves. The remaining applicants insisted because they thought that the little girl was just a special case. They felt that although they were not as powerful as the little girl, they were not bad either. Moreover, if the little girl enrolls in Shrek, if they can also enroll in Shrek, then they will be her classmates. There is no guarantee that they will get any opportunities by following her. So the remaining 1/3 of the applicants stayed and continued to line up, but they were all quiet and did not dare to speak anymore. Even when Li Yusong said he was unqualified, they just left dejectedly, not daring to have any more questions. Li Yusong didn't care about the number of students who came to register. He continued to start his registration work. Dai Mubai watched from the side and said to Xin Ya, "Sure enough, strength is the last word. Once your 3,000-year soul rings are released, they will be more effective than the threats I just made." Xin Ya glanced at him again. "Stop it. I'm not the same person as you. Don't say that I'm just like you." Dai Mubai raised his eyebrows. "Do you know what kind of person I am?" Xin Ya sneered coldly without hesitation. "That kind of scumbag." "What? Me, scumbag?" Dai Mubai's hair instantly exploded. Xin Ya said with disdain, "If you go to a hotel like that and hug everyone, what is he other than a scumbag?" Dai Mubai stared at her displeased. Xin Ya said disdainfully, "Why, you still want to fight if you don't accept it, that the little girl's words I still want to beat him if I don't accept it instantly made Dai Mubai like an eggplant, because he couldn't beat Xin Ya at all. Dai Mubai stood aside silently, not daring to speak for the time being. Well done. Ning Rongrong smiled and gave Xin Ya a thumbs up. Xiaoya, wait for me. I'll queue up to test the first level first. We'll go in together later. Xin Ya nodded. Ning Rongrong immediately ran to the end of the queue and planned to queue up again. At this time, Zhu Zhuqing, the girl with a hot figure just now, said, "You don't have to queue up again. You were just a few behind me. The ones behind me have left now, so you should be in line here." Ning Rongrong nodded and immediately ran happily behind Zhu Zhuqing to follow. Xin Ya looked at Zhu Zhuqing and nodded politely as a greeting. Zhu Zhuqing, who had always been aloof, was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Dai Mubai heard a familiar voice just now. He raised his eyes and looked at Zhu Zhuqing, and his strange pupils suddenly lit up. Chapter 69. If you don't have the ability to absorb spirit rings of higher levels like Xiaoya, just a. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The registration queue was now Tang San and Xiao Wu's turn. Tang San said to Li Yusong, "Let's register together." He took out 20 gold soul coins as the registration fee and handed them to Li Yusong. Li Yusong took the soul coins and said, "Please stretch out your hands." Tang San and Xiao Wu stretched out their right hands at the same time. Li Yusong first pinched Xiao Wu's hand and nodded, "You are the right age." Then, when his hand moved to Tang San's hand, he suddenly said "Huh," then looked up at Tang San with a strange expression and asked, "Have you practiced any soul skills on your hand?" Li Yusong asked this because he felt that Tang San's hand was extremely flexible when he pinched it, and he couldn't feel the bones at all. At this time, Tang San was awed and nodded, "Yes, teacher Li." Li Yusong frowned and said, "Then lift your calf up, let me see." Hearing this, Tang San lifted his calf. Li Yusong walked around the table, bowed slightly, stretched out his hand and pinched Tang San's calf through his pants for a few times, then he nodded and said, "The muscles are well developed and the bone age is appropriate. Okay, release your martial spirits." Tang San and Xiao Wu looked at each other, and at the same time urged the soul power in their bodies, and 2 soul rings, one yellow and one purple, rose from under their feet. The rabbit ears on Xiao Wu's head became longer, and a furry little rabbit tail appeared behind her, and her body became more slender. At the same time, the most ordinary blue-silver grass grew in Tang San's palm, but with the injection of the soul ring effect, it quickly changed into a grass vine. Li Yusong only glanced at Xiao Wu casually, and then his eyes fell on Tang San. Blue-silver grass. I didn't expect that blue-silver grass could be cultivated so quickly. Tang San immediately asked, "Teacher Li, am I a monster? Can you accept me?" Li Yusong smiled and said, "Although you are not as good as that little girl, you are indeed a little monster. Let Mubai take you in later." Xiao Wu muttered softly, "Just praise us, why do you have to compare with that Xianya?" Tang San pulled Xiao Wu behind him, smiled at Li Yusong, nodded slightly, and then pulled Xiao Wu to Dai Mubai. Then, the team lined up Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong. When it was Zhu Zhuqing's turn, Xianya looked at Dai Mubai and found that his eyes had completely changed. At this time, Dai Mubai was staring at Zhu Zhuqing. There was both wonder and a little joy in those evil eyes. Xianya sighed in her heart. She thought that since there was affection, why did he abandon her when he left? The most hateful thing is that he has been flirting with other girls since he came here. What a scumbag. Just when the little girl was complaining about Dai Mubai in her heart, she suddenly felt a chill and felt that the gaze that was looking at her before became a little sharper. What's going on? How come the gaze that was always gentle just now suddenly became sharp? Xianya immediately turned her head to look behind her, and then looked around. She really wanted to know who the person staring at her was. The little girl gnashed her teeth in her heart. "Don't let this lady know who you are, otherwise I will draw circles and curse you." At this time, Guangling, who had been staring at the figure standing at the gate of Shrek Academy not far away, suddenly sneezed. Just now, Guangling saw Xianya looking up at the blonde man next to him, and he was very unhappy.
So the look in his eyes when looking at that little thing became a little sharper. He guessed that the little thing must be cursing him in his heart now. Guangling planned to wait until Xianya passed the entrance test and then go to find her if she couldn't run away. At this time, Zhu Zhuqing had finished the first level of the test, and when she turned around, her eyes met Dai Mubai's. Dai Mubai smiled at her. Zhu Zhuqing had a cold expression, did not respond, and walked straight to Xianya's side. Dai Mubai saw that Zhu Zhuqing ignored him, and he was a little embarrassed and helpless. He continued to look at her, but did not say anything. At this time, it was Ning Rongrong's turn to queue up for registration. Miss Ning took out 20 gold soul coins, handed them to Li Yusong and said, "Teacher Li, this is the registration fee for Xianya and me." Li Yusong smiled and nodded, and took the gold soul coins. Then, Ning Rongrong stretched out her right hand to check Li Yusong's bone age. Li Yusong stretched out his hand to check, and soon his face showed a look of doubt. Ning Rongrong asked, "Excuse me, can I pass the first test?" At this time, the look of doubt on Li Yusong's face slowly subsided, and he frowned and asked, "Do your family know that you are here?" Ning Rongrong did not answer directly, but smiled and said, "It is said that there is no distinction between people in education. As long as I meet the requirements of the academy, you have no reason not to accept me." Li Yusong hesitated for a moment, and then said to Dai Mubai, "Mubai, take all 5 of them in." "Yes." Dai Mubai nodded, and then said to the 5 people, "Follow me." After speaking, he turned and walked into Shrek Academy, and the other 5 followed. After entering Shrek Academy, all the buildings are basically made of wood, and they are very simple and plain. Dai Mubai led the 5 people to an open space. The open space is surrounded by wooden houses, and the entire area is about 500 square meters. This is exactly the central playground of Shrek Academy. The applicants who have passed the first level outside the gate are now queuing here for the second level of soul power test. Dai Mubai said to the 5 people, "Except Xianya, the 4 of you should test your soul power level first." Tang San immediately said, "Xiao Wu and I are both at level 29. Xiao Wu also echoed, "Yes, we both meet the requirements of level 21 or above." Dai Mubai shook his head and said, "What you say verbally does not count. You must pass the crystal ball test to prove it. Unless you have 3 10,000-year soul rings like Xianya, then there is no need for testing." Xiao Wu was a little unhappy for a moment, and just when she wanted to scold someone, she was pulled by Tang San. At this time, Ning Rongrong said in a roundabout way, "If you don't have the ability to absorb beyond the level like Xiaoya, just accept the test honestly. I really don't understand what's so hypocritical about this." After she finished speaking, she walked to the table for the second level test, directly picked up the white crystal ball used to test the soul power level with both hands, and then injected soul power into the crystal ball. Instantly, a bright white light appeared. It was obvious that the soul power level was higher than the level of level 25 soul power, about level 26. Ning Rongrong had just finished the test and was about to hand over the crystal ball, but found that the crystal ball had disappeared. Zhu Zhuqing had quietly appeared beside her, took the crystal ball and injected soul power into it. The bright white light shone again, and the light was even stronger than when Ning Rongrong injected soul power just now. This was exactly the level of level 27 soul power. After Zhu Zhuqing finished the test, Dai Mubai suddenly walked in front of her. When he reached out to take the crystal ball from her hand, his hand deliberately touched the cold girl's fingers lightly. Zhu Zhuqing's cold eyes instantly glared at him, with a hint of anger in her eyes, but Dai Mubai looked at her deeply, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. At that moment, he thought that the way Zhu Zhuqing glared at him was very beautiful. "It's the end of the month, please vote. Thank you for your support. Thank you for giving me tips and voting for me. Thank you. With your support, I will continue to write." Chapter 70. If your broken mouth can't say anything else, just donate it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing looked at each other. Zhu Zhuqing wanted to take away the crystal ball, but Dai Mubai hooked her finger to prevent her from moving. To Dai Mubai, their eyes seemed drawn, but to the cold girl, they looked like a confrontation. Xin Ya walked over, looked at the two of them, and then coughed as a reminder. Zhu Zhuqing jerked his hand away, and the crystal ball fell straight onto Dai Mubai's shoes, hitting his toes. He groaned in pain instantly. Ning Rongrong, Tang San and Xiao Wu all laughed. Xin Ya said to Dai Mubai when he got into trouble, "You deserve it." At this time, Dai Mubai squatted on the ground with one knee, rubbing his sore toes through his shoes, but when he heard Xin Ya's words "I deserve it," he immediately raised his head and said, "You don't know anything, why do you say I deserve it?" Xin Ya said proudly, "I don't need to know anything. Anyway, the scumbag deserves it. You." When Dai Mubai was about to say something, he saw Zhu Zhuqing walking silently behind Xin Ya, as if he supported her words. He was so angry that he choked again and said, Okay, you are powerful, I can't beat you, I don't care about you little ladies." After saying this, he picked up the crystal ball on the ground, turned around and walked towards Tang San and Xiao Wu. "You two should test it too." Dai Mubai handed the crystal ball to Tang San. Tang San took the crystal ball and directly poured his soul power into it. In an instant, the crystal ball in his hand bloomed with white light. Intense light filled every corner of the crystal ball, which was a sign that the 29 bottleneck was about to reach level 30. At this time, the teacher sitting on the other side of the table who was responsible for the second level of the test had a bright smile on his face. "There are a lot of little monsters coming to Shrek this year." After hearing the test teacher's words, Tang San immediately smiled, but Dai Mubai on the side said to the test teacher of the second level, "The four of them can only be regarded as little monsters." As he spoke, he pointed at Xin Ya. "This little girl is the truly powerful monster. She is already at level 42 at the age of 12 and has 3 10,000-year soul rings." At this time, not only the test teacher in charge of the second level was stunned, but also the applicants who were testing the second and third levels around them all looked at Xin Ya. All of them had stunned expressions. The corner of Xin Ya's mouth twitched. "Dai Mubai, I really thank you. If your broken mouth can't say anything else, just donate it." This damn tiger has been promoting her power everywhere. She originally wanted to be low-key and obscene, but now Dai Mubai has made her more and more high-profile. She even doubted whether Dai Mubai was the one carrying the system, and his system mission was to increase the anger of others. If he had arrived at the hotel at the wrong time, she would have really suspected it. Dai Mubai chuckled and said, "You are so awesome, why not let others know about it?" Xin Ya smiled slyly, "Then you are such a scumbag, I will make you famous in the entire Soto city tomorrow, okay?" As he spoke, the little girl came closer to him and added in a low voice, "Prince of the Star Luo Empire." The Prince of the Star Luo Empire. Upon hearing these 6 words, Dai Mubai's eyes suddenly flashed, and he immediately changed the subject and said, "I don't understand what you said." Xin Ya knew he must have reacted this way, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, she just deliberately manipulated Dai Mubai to prevent that guy from treating her as a star and increasing her exposure everywhere. Dai Mubai turned to Tang San and said, "Has your girl not tested her soul power yet? Test her quickly." Tang San glanced at him. Just now he saw that Xin Ya had become the center of attention again, and he felt a little uncomfortable. Xin Ya noticed the dissatisfaction in Tang San's eyes, but she knew that Tang San was very tolerant, so she deliberately reminded him, "Tang San, remember to pay back the money. We will all be in Shrek from now on, and I will remind you." When Tang San heard about the debt, he suddenly looked a little embarrassed. He didn't expect that a little girl who could easily take out 1,000 gold soul coins would come to study here at Shrek. "I originally thought that if we were in different colleges, we wouldn't see each other every day, and it wouldn't be a big deal if we were in debt." But now that he thought about his creditor dazzling him every day from now on, Tang San felt a little awkward and uncomfortable. Tang San also immediately changed his gaze and handed the test crystal ball in his hand to Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu took the crystal ball and also poured soul power into it. The white light shone again. Like Tang San, she was a sign of the 29th level bottleneck. Those applicants who were testing the second and third levels around them were filled with envy when they saw the soul power levels of those people. Especially for Xin Ya, although they didn't see it with their own eyes, they all heard some of the movement outside the door just now, and at that time, they did vaguely see the black light of 3,000-year soul rings shining. Therefore, at this time, they all felt that the little girl was a genius girl, a rare one in 100 years. At this time, the teacher in charge of the second level of the test said to Dai Mubai, "Mubai, take the 5 of them to teacher Zhao in the 4th level. Anyone with a soul power level of 25 or above can be exempted from the third level test. 3 passes. Yes, teacher. Dai Mubai responded. Just when he was about to take 5 people to the 4th level for testing, a loud hawking voice suddenly came from a distance. Sausages for sale, sausages for sale. Handsome men and beautiful women, don't miss it if you pass by. Oscar brand sausages, delicious and sweet, cheap, and big enough. Only 5 copper soul coins each, I guarantee you will enjoy it and have an endless aftertaste. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. A man was pushing a cart out, walking towards the 2nd and 3rd level tests while shouting. The smell of meat came out of the cart, and some applicants who had not yet taken the test had already bought it. The man who pushed the cart out had short hair, a full beard, and simple clothes. His eyes kept moving among the many girls who had registered. When the man saw the 4 girls around Dai Mubai, his eyes lit up instantly. He immediately took 5 sausages and ran to Dai Mubai, saying, "Boss Dai, please introduce these 4 beauties to me, so that I can give them sausages." Go to hell. Dai Mubai glared at the man unhappily. I think I warned you more than once not to sell your sausages in the academy. Do you want everyone to vomit? Xiaoya asked curiously. Why do his sausages make people vomit? Ning Rongrong also asked, who is he? Is he also a student of Shrek Academy? Yes, he is also a student of the academy. Dai Mubai introduced, his name is Oscar, and his martial spirit is food. After saying that, he reached out and quickly took the sausage from Oscar's hand, then raised his chin. Little Ao, show your martial spirit and make a new sausage. Oscar's expression suddenly became awkward, and he said in embarrassment, Boss Dai, don't do it. After all, we have been classmates for several years. If you do this, the new students will resent me. Dai Mubai snorted coldly. If you don't show it now, can you escape in the future? It's just a matter of time. At this time, except for Xin Ya, the other 4 people listened to the conversation between the two, and their curiosity was instantly aroused. Chapter 71 Dai Mubai deserves a kick. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiaoya urged, yes, it's a matter of time, let's see it now. Hurry up, don't waste time. Ning Rongrong also echoed. Dai Mubai smiled evilly. Look, the sisters all want to see it, why don't you hurry up? Oscar had no choice but to stretch out his right hand and said in a somewhat obscene way, I have a big sausage. A yellow light instantly condensed in his palm, and at the same time 2 yellow soul rings rose from Oscar's feet. Then, a big sausage that was exactly the same as the 5 in Dai Mubai's hand appeared on his palm. As soon as Oscar finished speaking, Xiaoya couldn't help but burst out laughing. She sighed in her heart, I don't want to be a girl who understands in seconds, but I understand. What can I do? Tang San, Ning Rongrong, Xiaoya and Zhu Zhuqing only reacted now. Tang San froze and didn't know what to say. Ning Rongrong and Xiaoya blushed instantly. Xiaoya also complained, what a strange martial soul, strange spell. Zhu Zhuqing, who had been standing behind Xiaoya, rarely showed a subtle expression on her cold face. The cold girl said coldly, boring. Dai Mubai smiled at Xiaoya. I didn't expect you to be the first to react. It seems that you know a lot. Xiaoya glared at him, get lost. At this time, Oscar immediately took his big sausage and handed it to Xiaoya. He said in a bewitching tone, this lovely little beauty, although my soul spell is a little strange, the taste and quality of my sausage are absolutely fine. Do you want to try it? Xiaoya waved her hand, no need, the chance of me eating your sausage in the future should not be high. She thought that her left leg soul bone had the skill of healing light, and she should not need Oscar's sausage to recover. Oscar heard that this cute little sister in front of him actually said that he would not need his sausage. He immediately explained anxiously, my sausage can promote wound healing, restore physical strength and soul power, relieve fatigue and pain, and increase satiety. Are you sure you won't need it in the future? Xiaoya was about to say something. Dai Mubai immediately interrupted, this little girl Xiaoya is very powerful, maybe she really doesn't need your sausage. Oscar asked curiously, how powerful is it? Tell me. I tell you, she. Dai Mubai was about to start promoting how powerful Xin Ya was. Xin Ya finally couldn't bear it anymore, stood behind Dai Mubai, and kicked him in the calf. Plop, Dai Mubai was kicked suddenly. He didn't realize it at all, so he knelt down straight. Oscar on the side opened his eyes wide. He thought that the cute little girl was so bold that she dared to kick Dai boss. Xin Ya immediately stood behind Zhu Zhuqing and stuck her head out. Dai Mubai knelt on the ground and turned his head to look behind him, but saw Zhu Zhuqing staring at him condescendingly. Xin Ya, who was behind the cold girl, stuck her head out and smiled. He knew that the person who kicked him just now must be Xin Ya, but Zhu Zhuqing's attitude was obviously on her side. Dai Mubai took a deep breath. One couldn't beat him, and the other couldn't be provoked. What could he do? He could only endure it. Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu couldn't help laughing. Tang San couldn't say anything because Xin Ya was his creditor now. Xin Ya snorted at Dai Mubai, "If you spread my words everywhere, I will tie you to a tree next time." That after she finished speaking, she turned and walked towards the direction of the 4th level test. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing followed her away. As she walked, Xin Ya realized that the sharp eyes that had been staring at her turned soft again after she kicked Dai Mubai. She frowned instantly. What's going on? The little girl complained in her heart. Damn, who is it? Xin Ya turned her head and looked in the direction where she felt the gaze. On the mountain behind the wooden house not far away, she seemed to see a figure vaguely. She couldn't see who it was because the person was hidden in the dark and the distance was too far, so she couldn't judge. But at least she was sure that someone was staring at her. Xin Ya secretly decided that after nightfall, she would go to the back mountain to lure the person out to see if he was an enemy or a friend. The little girl didn't think about Guangling at all, because she thought it was impossible for Guangling to find this remote place in Shrek. She never doubted that the gaze would be him. Dai Mubai stood up, patted the dust on his knees, and said to Tang San and Xiao Wu, "Let's go to the 4th level test." Oscar shouted behind them, "Are you really not going to try my sausage?" Xiao Wu turned around and made a face, saying, "Uncle Big Sausage, you should keep it for yourself. We are not worthy of it." "Uncle?" Oscar stroked his beard and said to himself, "Am I old? I am so handsome, but this little girl doesn't know how to appreciate me at all." After saying that, he ran back to his cart and continued to sell sausages. Dai Mubai quickly caught up with Xin Ya and the other two. As they walked into the academy, they listened to Dai Mubai telling them about the academy and the 4th level test. After a while, the 6 people arrived at the 4th level test site, in an open space of about 200 square meters. A middle-aged man who looked to be in his 50s was dozing off on a chair. Dai Mubai first introduced the 5 people around him. The one who is dozing off over there is the teacher in charge of the 4th level test in our academy. His name is Zhao Wuji, his martial soul is the powerful King Kong Bear, and he is a level 76 strong attack system battle soul saint. After the introduction, he stepped forward and said to Zhao Wuji, "Teacher Zhao, I brought 5 applicants to test the 4th level assessment. There are 5 this year." Zhao Wuji opened his sleepy eyes and looked at the 5 boys and girls in front of him in surprise. Dai Mubai said, "Not only are there 5, but they are all exempted from the 2nd and 3rd level tests. Even one of the girls has a soul power level of 42 and 3 10,000-year soul rings." At this time, Dai Mubai's words did not make Xin Ya angry, because Zhao Wuji was the teacher in charge of the 4th level test, and it was reasonable to inform him of the situation of the applicants. And Xin Ya knew that the next plot development should be that the 5 of them would fight against Zhao Wuji together, 5 against 1, so it didn't matter. But at this moment, Zhao Wuji, who was sitting opposite, suddenly heard a voice. After the voice said a few words to him, he stood up suddenly and said excitedly, "Level 42. 3 10,000-year soul rings. Okay, I want to test that little girl myself." Dai Mubai frowned at Zhao Wuji and asked, "Teacher Zhao, do you mean you want to fight against that little girl alone to test?" Zhao Wuji smiled excitedly and nodded, "That's right." Xin Ya opened her eyes wide. The little girl complained in her heart, "Zhao Wuji, you are a relative of Xiong the Xiong heir, you are bullying the weak, do you know that?" Why did the plot change again? This is a small theater, it has nothing to do with the main text. Guangling, Xiaoya, last time when you were taking a shower, I heard you singing outside. It sounded pretty. Can you sing it again? Hearing that she was praised for her good singing, Xin Ya proudly sang, dear, I fell in love with you. From that day on, it was sweet and easy, dear, don't be willful, your eyes are saying I do. Guangling, does this song have a name? Xin Ya, yes, it's called Confession Balloon. Guangling smiled and said, then I thought you were confessing to me. Xin Ya opened her eyes wide and said angrily, Pa shameless. Stinky Tsundra, you are tricking me again, I'm angry. Wow, I received a lot of monthly tickets and recommendation tickets from babies yesterday, and some babies gave me rewards. I saw the pop-up messages on the background of the writer on my mobile phone all day. I was so happy. So I tried to write a small theater at the end of this chapter. I don't know if you will like it. If you like it, just take a look. If you don't like it, just skip it. Thank you so much for your support. Love you guys, ******.